Hello, ladies, gents, and otherwise, and welcome to Bad Actors, Episode 2. Joining us today is none other than Edgelord Supreme himself, Talkerart. Talker's given name is Rob Walker, so I might refer to him as such in other sections of this video. With all of that out the way, let's get one thing perfectly clear about Rob Walker. This man is a fucking racist. Straight up. And I'll be providing several pieces of context to support my position on that throughout this video. This stream was the result of years of a Cold War-like feud between Boog and Rob that sort of came to a head after an incident in Toy Fair 2022. Rob, while approaching the Hasbro Marvel Legends booth, referred to Dan Yoon and Ryan Ting of the Hasbro Marvel team as the Asian twins. For giving context, yes, Dan and Ryan are both of Asian descent. However, Rob at a later point in this video will try defending this comment by saying he didn't know it was offensive to call people Asian. This is a typical tactic of modern-day racists and grifters. They hide behind a very thin veil of plausible deniability in order to create a social gray area where people will give them grace and assume that it's social ignorance as opposed to actual racism. We actually see this take effect in the video when Russ grants Rob an amount of understanding and provides an anecdote about his own father. However, unlike Russ's father, Rob has made odd, racist, and homophobic jokes on his own channels for years. It is a slimy, bitch-made behavior for a man who's too afraid to be the open and proud bigot that he is.
So one of the Asian twins over here with the mojo shit. I'm sure everybody's seen that by now.
Home run. Home run.
Just picked up my bone breaker set.
We do a lot of work. I know you're in marketing.
Some of the Disney shit.
Anybody for artwork or whatever.
There's the other Asian twin.
A good bit of this stream involves both Boog and Rob going over the history of their interactions online and in person at cons and such. They both seem to agree on the details each one of them gives. Boog seems to highlight more of their past interactions than Rob, who just kind of sits there with a dorky-ass fake smile for most of the stream. The catalyst for this stream is a video that Talker uploaded sometime before the stream, roughly about a day or so from what I can gather. I have no footage from that video, and I've looked extensively to find any piece of it. However, everyone in the stream seems to agree on two things: the subject matter and the video's existence. The gist being that Talker uploaded an extremely angry and allegedly slanderous video about Boog, which seemed to make several implications or outright statements about Boog's home life, financial status, and so on. The primary reason and justification that Rob seems to give for this upload was fucking laughable. Boog called him a bozo and re-uploaded a video of Talker clearly engaging in a racist behavior. Rob will mention at several points that the comment about him being a bozo clearly upset him, but at other times he'll say he doesn't care. But it's supremely obvious that this third grade level insult got under his skin in a big way.
And then on that one bozo comment, that inspired a whole 10-minute hater video. It makes you look super sensitive. Because
The video was a little extreme, Shart. You're absolutely right. When I did it, I thought it was funny. Was it a little extreme? Did I take it a little too far? Yeah, I probably did.
Now, let's put this to rest. Is what Talker did racist? The answer is a resounding yes. I'm going to tear that cowardly veil that Rob is hiding behind and show you just who he really is. And Rob, if you're watching this, I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between and say the quiet part out loud because you were too pussy to do so. What you were doing was playing on the hideous and untrue assertion that all Asian people look alike. This stereotype has proliferated media for decades and isn't something that's just weaponized against Asian communities, but all minority groups. Rob used the word twins intentionally to indicate to the audience that they look alike. However, he goes on to move the goalpost to something that's much more defensible by claiming that he was unaware that calling somebody by their ethnic group was offensive. This is grifter behavior. He knows what he did and said was wrong. This shit wasn't even a dog whistle. It was a foghorn. This act alone would be more than enough to seal the deal, but we're gonna look at some other things he said and done and dissect them as well to better inform the audience on how morons like this get away with their bigotry in the big 2025.
Now it's squashed, but then it's not squashed because Boog has to come in there and repost the video. Like it's over. Like it's done. I shouldn't have called him Asian. I didn't think it was bad. That's like if I called you black, I wouldn't think it's bad. Maybe it is bad.
Also, at several points, Rob will make the statement that being called a Trump supporter is somehow racist, and is also offended by being called a Trump supporter, which is a fucking hilarious self-report. This also strikes me as strange because Talker is a Trump supporter. I know this doesn't seem to make much sense, and that's because, well, it doesn't. But when you claim to love the guy who was saying something as fucking moronic as Tylenol causes autism, it's obvious from the start that we were never dealing with anyone whose IQ was above the single digits.
Offensive.
When he calls white people Trumpists, it comes across as me as racist.
And just to rub salt in the wound, here's his response about voting for Trump. Yet somehow he claims that it was racist in nature to be called a Trump supporter?
So, okay, first off,
First of all, this was not on a video.
By that, you voted for him twice, didn't you?
I did. I love the guy.
All
Okay.
right.
You can't make this shit up. He'll also make the claim that Boog was calling people Trumpists, and claims that Boog called Desert Rat a Trumpist, which is either a blatant lie or a statement of incompetence. And given his track record, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a mix of both. Desert Rat is a nickname for Tony from the Analog Toys YouTube channel, which is strange to me because it was obvious that Boog was actually speaking about Bobby Vala. Now that I've laid that out, let's take a look at what Boog actually said. I'll show the clip to prove what Talker said first, and then I'll follow it up with the other clip of Boog.
Let's talk
So
about
when
it right
you
now.
refer to us as trumpets, what does that mean?
Who's us? What are you talking about?
People that you call trumpets. You call Desert Rat a trumpet.
Will have kind of painted themselves into a corner now based on the content they were putting out last year with the EOV, where they have to kind of keep that shtick going. Do your thing, do your numbers, do whatever it is you do. Don't mention my name. Don't go putting me in your videos, clout chasing. You worked for Hasbro. You got let go. You got to let it go. It's ironic that your behavior is very Trumpian in nature. And you know why that's ironic. Where it's
Be racist towards Asian people. Like, wouldn't there have been another word he could have gone with? That's all I'm trying to say. There's a whole bunch. Also, the reaction from it. Usually racists that are standing behind what they said, they will stick with it. And they'll be like, no, that wasn't racist. I get to say that. I get to say it. Freedom of speech, yada, yada.
Russ seems to be under a misconception about modern-day racism and how it affects online discourse. Racism in modern day is veiled and subtle in ways that provide plausible deniability, especially as it relates to people with online platforms. People who try to keep as many of their future prospects as safe as possible. It's also difficult to maintain an audience if you're an out and proud racist, although the president does seem to be pretty good at this, so, Now this next clip is absolutely insane. I won't even try explaining this logic. I'll just let the clip play.
When he calls white people Trumpists, it comes across as me as racist.
Hold on a second.
If I called Boog the
Hold on a
N-word,
second.
you think that was
Wait.
Yes, this nigga just compared being called a Trump supporter to being called the N-word. I wish I was making this shit up. I have absolutely no idea what's going on in that dome of his, but to even make this statement at all is crazy work. Talker claims he isn't a victim repeatedly, and yet here he is, whining and crying like a little bitch for being called what he admitted to being. A fucking Trump supporter. This guy will say anything at this point. This albino milk dud headed dementia ridden dickhead is shameless. And this right here seals the deal. The large part of the stream is over now, and Russ is reading super chats when he comes across this comment. Another blatantly racist statement that Rob seems to think is incredibly funny. If Rob cultivates an audience that thinks statements like this are okay, or funny, it's obvious as fuck that he himself condones and participates in these edgelord-ass behaviors as well. And here is where I lose a healthy amount of respect for Russ's integrity. The fact that he would read a racist-ass comment like this about a person who's supposed to be his friend is beyond me. Alright, that does it for one day. I have my next video in mind already, covering both Talker, Hector, and some of the 3 POA cast where things get really, weird.
I'll make that my new wallpaper on my phone, and I'll be like, "Hey, I went to the zoo. Look at this anteater." Like to everybody I see.
We got a kid on our hockey team. He's probably like 30 now, but he's got a hood, and dude, we roast him every single fucking game. Like, to the point where it's like, bro, you got like, get that shit taken care of, man. You're in a locker room with 20 other dudes and nobody's looks like that. Like, come on, man, get that shit taken care of.
This one stream is a treasure trove of awfulness. It involves jokes about sexual assault, blatant admission to being homophobic, and the word gay more fucking times than you can count. Alright, that'll do it all for today. I'll catch you in the next one. And always remember, love yourselves and each other.